All right, well, welcome in everyone to the stream. I am the Wombat of DM, and you are here for a special one shot for our campaign as we are coming to a close. We are giving each member of the party a moment to shine in their own way as we're kind of closing out this chapter and moving into the finale. So, with me today, we have, well, I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Ambitus and I play Roger Mays, Wood Elf Assassin. Wood Elf Assassin? I'm the only one here.
Yeah, so we are going to be meeting with Roger today. Our last one shot was with Ulrich back last Tuesday. And today we are going to be focusing on Roger. We'll have a couple more one shots for you before our next session, which will be, I believe, on the 18th. I'm not sure if the whole party has confirmed the 18th or not at this point, but I am trying to push for the 18th. So hopefully that will work out because I have confirmed the 25th is not going to work either. Thank you, work. So anyway, we are here and now and ready to play. And we are going to actually be starting our session slightly out of order from our next session, session 85. So potentially this could be, it's kind of 85.1, but we're going to keep it in the 84 time slot just for sake of ordering. So ultimately, if you are watching this stream while going through things, you'll probably interact with our next episode with everybody in a slightly different order. But don't worry, this is just going to be kind of an offshoot of the main story. So it's not going to be too confusing. It's just a little timey-wimey. So welcome in, everyone. And as we kind of last left off, the party was interacting with both the factions in some capacity that they're in having support Seregen, which is Relic, the Council of Relic, and the Queen of Necrata, and their forces. So we are basically coming back from that now. The group has teleported back to Licht and has potentially rested for the night and discussed what they're going to be doing next. And is now early in the morning, just before the group is leaving, or maybe even quite close to when the group is leaving. And Roger has some things to do. So, Roger, I will say this. The Flames of Jane do not wait for you to contact them. During the night, they come to you.
And how do they do that?
Without any type of obfuscation. It's pretty plainly they walk up to you. I guess because you're in the midst of an army, and your camp is fairly close to where Marius and such are. At least these flames feel comfortable just kind of being out in the open instead of trying to reveal themselves and have you go somewhere else. They're just approaching you as if they're other members of the army. Maybe obfuscation by being out in the open, right?
Sure, Roger will acknowledge them. Say, I assume you're here for my report.
Among other things, yes. Do you have a moment to talk?
I'd say I have all the time in the world, but I'm not sure it's true. I do have time to talk, though.
I'm just checking to make sure. Have something.
Suppose I'm also not sure there's much time left in the world.
Thade. That's what his name was. I was just making sure I had his name correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So it is Sade that is meeting with you. So he basically quietly says, "Let's go for a walk."
And Roger nods and accompanies them.
The other two peel off, and you're walking alone with Sade, excuse me, through the tents and camps. As you kind of walk along the road, you realize that this is the same area that you had met Sade the previous day, previous night. Just a very different landscape now that there's an entire army camped here. So you walk a bit down the road, back more west, until the army camps are kind of petered out. The camps are organized pretty evenly and regimentally. Marius has done a good job of making sure that, and his leadership has done a good job of making sure that it's an orderly camp. It's not just chaotic and haphazardly done. They've taken care to try and stay away from being on the fields themselves. Although there has been a lot of crops being gathered by farmers nearby and being collected in carts for the army. So he's not ruining the farms, but he is taking what he can, right? And this is toward the end of summer, so this is just before harvest. So it's most of it's ready to go. Some of it could have waited a little bit longer, but he's going to take what he can at this point. So.
Mm-hmm.
On your walk, do you say anything to Sade, or are you kind of just walking alongside quietly?
He came to me. It's his job to ask me the questions.
No, I'm just curious. That's fair.
We don't. Sade and Roger don't know each other well enough to be shooting the shit as they go down the road here, waiting to get down to business once they're out of earshot of the army.
Sure. I assume you are wondering why we are alone.
Roger will maybe slightly obviously flash his eyes to Sade's belt and be looking for hands at weapons and go, "You're not about to kill me, are you?"
No.
You don't expect me to kill you?
Obviously.
And are we alone?
I thought your eyes were better than that. If you'd like to make a perception check to confirm, you can.
32.
You are not followed. If there is a party that is following you, you're fairly certain you wouldn't see them. They're doing a good job.
I'm skilled, but I am aware that I'm not the most talented at the Flames of Jane. And I also just wanted to check to see what you would say.
Well,
Why do you want me alone?
Well, you could say that I have seen a lot more recently than others have in the past. When were you going to tell me about Ulrich?
The second before we left, and not a moment earlier.
Why?
In your own words, there was a lot of turmoil in the Flames. And I was afraid you would order me to kill him.
And if I did that now?
And Roger freezes. I don't know what I would do. We need his power to fight Orcus. I don't know if we can beat him without Ulrich.
He told Marius yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, hmm. I didn't know that. I suspect the extra details in my report won't be quite nearly as exciting to you
Quite the
as they
contrary.
might have been otherwise.
I am most interested in what you can tell me about his condition. And quite frankly, is it controllable? Is he in control?
That depends on what you mean by control. What if you're asking if he's a danger to other people? Yes, but so is everyone else here.
I think you know what I'm asking you.
Should he be king? I say no.
Should he be in a leadership role at all? Can he be? Is he able to be trusted?
Vampires are bound by the oaths they swear. If they break them, they die. If he swears something, uh, he means it, or he is foolish and will pay the most severe of prices.
He swore an oath to marry us yesterday.
Do you know what oath he swore?
I can't tell you it verbatim at the moment, but this news of it, of being bound by oaths, makes me want to know the language better. Would you be able
It
to
is.
get that from him for me?
I'll do what I can. It is, to my understanding, to the letter of the oath. If he swore something vague and uh, interpretable, it may not be worth much. But if he swore something specific, um, it is as good as done if he is capable of it.
He begins leafing through his notes to try and ascertain if he has it written down anywhere. Ah, yes, here it is. It looks like what he swore is, I swear that should the throne of Seregen decide I, Ulrich Oakenhearth, must die, I will accept my fate. It sounds like not a very good oath for breaking a promise. It's just a means to an end.
And a particularly crafty mind might say that the throne and the steward and the king are all separate. And one is not the other is not the third.
Yes. And should he be king, then vampires are eternal, aren't they?
They can be killed with great effort, but I have not seen it done. I only know that it can be done from those who have done it.
Do you know how?
Destroying the body is not enough. Their soul retreats to their coffin, and a new body is built. If they have no coffin, then you can kill them just fine. They're weak to silver. They have trouble crossing running water without help, be that a bridge or by flight or being ferried across on a ship. They cannot enter a dwelling without permission from someone with the authority to give it. And oh, And if you throw a number of small objects at their feet, they must immediately stop to count them.
Curious.
They drink blood and prefer intelligent prey. Drinking from the blood of animals is, well, just as we might balk at eating rats, so too do vampires.
He's making notes. Ulrich is your responsibility. This is something we've discussed before.
Yes.
I think my orders were to keep him alive. I don't think those orders really meant anything, knowing what I know now.
I chose to interpret them how you meant it, even though what you literally said was not possible.
Is it reversible?
I do not know. I suspect not. I have never heard of a vampire changing back to what they were when they were when they were undead.
And you and the group that you're with and the army with Marius, or without, depending on things. Well, there are many weapons that are lost on the battlefield. Perhaps Ulrich can have an honorable death.
If the need arises. I've planned for it since before his vampirism, and haven't needed to yet.
What is your threshold? What do you deem to be the deal breaker?
I pledged an oath to King Gareth and to Seregen, and of those two, one still remains. And as long as it still remains, as long as Ulrich will do more good for Seregen than ill, I will attempt to keep him alive. We need him for Orcus. If Orcus was not a looming threat, he may not even have made it this far. And I would have briefed you a week and a half ago on where and why he doomed himself, and what of his effects I had returned.
I don't trust him near Marius. You say he's in control, but I don't like the idea of Marius going to war while our forces are gone with one who has designs for kingdom.
Roger laughs. You mean every single nobleman here?
I'm
Your problem is bigger than Ulrich.
I am aware of this. And Marius has expressed concerns about leaving Seregen himself, leaving the kingdom unruled in any capacity except for his generals that he's left behind to steward things. this country is already at unrest levels. We've drafted many for this army.
And would you leave him behind, Marius? I mean,
Marius has expressed some desire to stay and continue to steward the kingdom. It was actually the conversation that Ulrich and him had yesterday was mainly about that. Ulrich wished him to go and warned him that other nobles might split off from the army if Marius was not there. We can
he's a
make
unifying force.
well, say again.
He's a unifying force, not necessarily because of his charisma, but because he and you and Roger kind of nods that the Flames might have maybe slightly more influence than Marius here, but Marius is the figurehead at least. Um, are the keys to the throne. If he stays here, he'll be branded a coward by the nobles who do go to fight, and picked clean by the ones who choose not to.
Mm.
The army will fall apart.
I'm of two thoughts on this. Marius's decree that the nobles are not eligible for the throne unless they are part of this movement means that if Marius stays, he is no longer eligible to rule. The nobles might be happy about this, or they might try to play a different game. But ultimately, we can influence the nobles in some ways, or make threats in others. I am concerned about having the figurehead go rather than stay when he's this close to, when he's confided in Ulrich. What are Ulrich's motivations? He said plainly to Marius that he wishes to be king.
While Ulrich has lied almost pathologically to our opposition at every step, and Roger is making no attempt to hide
Right.
the frustration in his face as he says this is like even to his own detriment. I believe him if he says he intends to be king.
And that cannot happen. You and I agree on that, correct?
I would oppose it, unless you told me otherwise.
Well, what are the advantages of him being king? Why would I tell you otherwise?
Ulrich believes that Seregen's instability is a weakness, and that Seregen needs a ruler that will outlive the petty squabbling that has come to characterize the kingdom over the past few decades.
Hmm.
I see his point, but I do not agree. Relic and Necrata are ruled in large part by incomprehensibly old people. Renovar needs someone with a fresh perspective. And it will always need someone with a fresh perspective.
I agree.
I would not want an elf on the throne for the same reason. Not here.
progress.
In the worst case, voice presenting new ideas, or a new voice presenting the same ones, if they need to be presented by again. Um,
I agree.
I don't know if the rulers of Relic and Necrata see it the same way. I suspect Queen Cordelia would also like to see Ulrich on the throne.
I'm sure she would.
He is not bound to her, um, but uh, she fears for the stability of her kingdom with the wall coming down.
Interesting.
You live a long time, you get to be paranoid about a lot more than just where your next meal's coming from or what might kill you. Some of her subjects she has ruled for over 1,000 years. I assume old resentments run deep in Necrata. Their nobility may be uh, even more difficult than ours.
Then it is good that for now they are on our side. And that brings me to my final concern as of now that I can think of, and that is if we killed Ulrich, would we
Would it break the
face would
contract?
it break the contract? Would we face retribution from Necrata?
Well, uh, out of character. Let me go read the contract real quick.
Sure.
Roger, of course, would have this on hand to pull
Yeah.
out, but I have to find it. um, we've made so many copies.
Making
Uh,
copies.
Roger, secret scribe of the party.
I
Um,
think it's
I found
in
it.
character as well.
There is a clause that you may find useful. At the discretion of the host nation may remove unwanted diplomats by safely and forcibly, if needed, escorting them to the border of their home nation, then expelling them, then stripping them of their status as diplomats and the protections this agreement provides. If you want Ulrich gone, we escort him out, expel him, and strip him of his status as a diplomat. Then then he'll no longer be protected by the agreement per the text of the contract. Um, Also, the final clause: a natural, accidental, or wartime death of a signatory of the agreement will not break the contract. In the case of such an occurrence, all applicable terms will pass on to any successors.
All right.
2 clauses that let us do as we need. If you want to act overtly, you can expel him formally. If you need him to die,
Provided that it's still wartime when it happens. That leaves a narrow window in which the opportunity might be present. Otherwise, he would be banished to Necrata.
yes. If the flames aren't concerned, you could have someone order him to swear um, to allow himself to be escorted when asked for the purposes of being expelled.
Why did he do it? Has he had this idea for a while. It can't just be because he wants a stable leader for Seregen. That just it seems like such an extreme solution for for that idea.
And Roger will actually just sit down on the road and go, I've been grappling with this for weeks. I'm no closer to the answer than you are. It seemed sudden when he turned to Queen Cordelia and said the equivalent of, "Can I become a vampire?" Uh,
So he may already be influenced by others. He might not be acting on his own.
I'm not sure I believe that. The the only time that he and I spent any significant time apart was when he was captured by the Axe clan on our first expedition into Relic. And were bitter enemies of Necrata and fought tooth and nail against us allying Relic with Necrata. In fact, they made Ulrich fight them in ritual combat for them to even agree to attempt a peace.
And how did that affect him?
We won. um, I don't know. As we journeyed through Necrata, he seemed curious, of course, about the new land and uh, sufficiently horrified at all of the terrible things that live there, as we all were. Um, perhaps, and perhaps it was a decision made of desperation, the thought that we would need more power to complete our mission, and this was one way to get it. Or perhaps the thought that if you can't beat them, join them, so to speak. Uh, Either to be less appetizing as food, or uh, maybe to get back at the land that had taken so much from us.
Mm.
We lost a companion or two there. A kid hitchhiked with us into Necrata out of one of the clans in Relic when they were sending us to the border. And he died in the journey when we were attacked by monsters. So perhaps that affected Ulrich. I I mean, I don't know how much you humans grapple with your mortality. It's certainly much closer for you than it is for me. Well, present circumstances notwithstanding.
I'm inclined to think that in extremes as well. I can't help but think that if we don't do something about it soon, it will be worse for us later. He'll come back a hero if you succeed. He knows more about the other two lands than anyone else. It's a shame that he's a vampire because I I can see the eligibility of his ascending to kingdom. Save this. I can't support this. even if he were controllable. Say he swore oaths up and down. He is no longer human. He no longer has the same type of humanity that you and I have. At least from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong in that assumption. Do you see any other choice? You know him the best.
I mean, if you don't want him to be king, make him swear oaths to that effect.
And if he denies,
He's surrounded by people that want him dead. And I don't mean the flames, I mean the other nobles, who see him as a threat for their chances to take the crown. Have one of them duel him, perhaps. Engineer it.
but you need him for Orcus.
I do. But I don't know how we can kill him during the war before Orcus is defeated. If he's more of a threat to Seregen now than he is after Orcus is defeated, then we have to deal with him now. But
I would say it's more so after. But the snowball has started rolling.
if you're concerned, I wouldn't allow him to return. Invoke the clause that expels him. Escort him to the border, such as it may be. It may be a very short walk from where we choose to meet you when we come back, if we come back.
There are a lot of ifs, unfortunately.
Well, this whole issue is completely sidestepped if we lose. Is it not?
Fair.
Uh, I
And of Marius, do you think he's safe to go with the army, or should we influence him to come back to Jane?
That depends on so much information I don't have, but information you might be able to get if you do it quickly. Will the nobles accept this as him stepping down but retaining command until the war ends? Or will the nobles see this as an opportunity to fight him while the rest of the army is away?
I wonder. Maybe we can play this a little bit more politically. What if Marius puts Ulrich in charge of the army? Every noble's eye would be on his back. They'd want to go to prove themselves and to allow themselves the opportunity. One that maybe won't come, but you'll take care of and they won't miss, but it would at least motivate. I don't think any of them would succeed against Ulrich with his current power.
You could put someone else in charge of the army. If you're afraid of Ulrich returning a hero.
That is my other concern, yes. Like
You
who?
achieve this.
Just another general?
You know the nobles better than I do. Someone competent enough that Ulrich won't be as motivated to displace them.
Perhaps.
But another person who can, someone you would be okay with returning a hero and becoming king should they survive.
I'll work on that.
I'm sorry for not telling you sooner, but if Ulrich dies, before we fight Orcus, I'm confident we fail. and there is no Seregen, and none of this matters.
There's a reason I am speaking to you alone. I figured if you had a reason to keep it quiet, it was a good one.
Are you satisfied with my reason?
In time. He smirks.
Well, and if I lose my job when this is all said and done, it'll be for the best. It was only supposed to be one war, you know.
That's what I said 40 years ago.
I'll see what I can do to ply Ulrich into swearing oaths, such as they may be, directly or indirectly, whatever I can manage. I don't think I'm going to get him to say, I will not be king. But
Does he trust you?
I think so. Yes.
Good.
I've been with him for a long time. And I have kept his secret until the very last second I could.
Until he broke it for himself. So he has no complaints for you. Something else you should know. Your brother's here. He's in the army.
Oh no.
He got drafted and he's here.
But Finn is so young.
I didn't know until the army arrived. Otherwise, I would have told you sooner.
I have something for him, and I'll have to go see him. Perhaps you or someone else can show me to his tent tonight before we leave.
He describes the area where which group he's camped with. He's with the religion, faction. So,
Yeah.
as I said, the army is fairly organized, and each section of camp is led by a noble that represents each city or district of Seregen. So he's with the religion district, basically, and the areas around it. So he describes that to you and lets you know where that is.
Gotcha.
If Marius stays, it is likely that he might pull some forces into reserve. If you'd like, I can try and influence which he decides on. But again, I have contacts, but I'm mostly based here.
I don't know which will be safer. Perhaps after I talk to Finn, I may ask that of you.
He nods. Anything else you've been holding back?
I don't think so. I feel like I've been quite forthright. Oh, no, that's not true. There is one other thing that I have glossed over. Though I don't know if it matters anymore. Um, the And I suspect you already know about how the wall came down.
Go on.
Well, Jordan has told the story to Marius, at the
Hmm.
very least. Um, but I can retell it.
Yeah, and you can. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Yeah, we take the scepter from Gerard's body. Zippo and Jordan and really everyone in the party but Roger is interested in seeing how to get over to the other side.
So you basically tell the story of the motivations of the party and your efforts to advise them not to, and in the end, it did more than they expected, which was about what you expected.
And I'll yeah, and we meant we'll take it all the way up to meeting Piran in the cave, right? Which is where I get the story of us encountering an old man on the other side of the wall who claimed he sneezed it away.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he believed it when he said it. And we played along, and of course we knew otherwise. But it's an easy story to tell when people ask what happened.
Honestly, while there's a lot of fear and destruction that has occurred because the wall is down, I might have done the same thing with the information that I had, that you had. We are a curious nation. I can't fault someone for testing the unknown, but that's just me. And obviously, Marius is, well, not taken action against your group for these this action. So there may not be, it might not be worth um, perpetuating the story, but I think the right people know.
Well, I like the story.
As in, I don't know if villages who have been affected by the consequences would be very kind-eyed to the persons that were responsible for it.
Oh, sure.
But I suppose that's not of very much consequence at the moment. But perhaps, should you return to us, it might be worth considering.
I suppose if we're counting villages saved versus destroyed, you'll just have to wait and see whether we come back.
Thank you for your loyalty, Roger. It's not something that is often celebrated with us, I know. But you've gone through a lot and have withstood it all. I admire your character.
It means a lot to me. And though I have bonds now elsewhere as well, I am still loyal here. And I will honor all of my oaths, even the ones I swore before I knew the nature of them.
Well, don't let me keep you from your brother. I'm
Is
sure
there
I'm sure if there's anything else, you'll see me before you go.
is there anything that you would like to know upon our return. As soon as sending is available from our first foot into Seregen.
I'd like to know if your mission was a success or not. And I don't mean against Orcus. That would be plain by your message.
If Ulrich lives, you mean?
Yes.
I can let you know. I'll have to find something else to do with the other 24 words, I suppose.
I'm sure you'll figure it out. So you said you wanted to give me your report? He holds out his hand.
Roger hands him the report. You already know everything in here. Although, maybe someone will enjoy reading it.
He patiently puts it into his notebook and tucks it away. There will be other flames among the army as you go out. If you need them, I will let them know that they are a resource to you.
And if I need to move against Ulrich in battle,
they will help.
I may need to speak with all of them or with their leader and coordinate this.
I can arrange that. 30 minutes.
See, but that's certainly enough to get an accounting of what resources I have.
Sayed looks at you expectantly to see if there's anything else.
I wonder how difficult it would be to coat a knife in silver. Roger's kind of distantly thinking of the mechanics of fighting a vampire for real, rather than than anything else at this point.
Right.
We don't have to kill him. Has been dealt with, and now it's the okay. But what if we need to?
Right. Yeah. You could potentially procure a blade, an ornamental blade, for example. Since silver isn't usually used to make weapons, right? You could potentially see if there's something in the Adventurers Guild before you go. Or maybe even have it gilded by the blacksmith. Maybe even tipped.
Roger would definitely want to check the Adventurers Guild and the blacksmith for getting some silver tipped arrows, maybe, and at least one, maybe two if he can afford it, but at least one silver coated knife, or rapier or something of the sort.
All right. I think we could probably do that out of session, and we can talk about that. I think also the discussion with your resources, the other flames that will be in the army, is something that we can kind of talk out of session as well.
You could just send me a message with "This is what you have."
Right.
Be like, cool.
And then this is what you tell them, is what you tell me.
Right.
But ultimately, I think we have the general logistics of a plan, right? as well as
Yep.
communication. Um, and obviously, this is kind of what Roger feared coming to fruition. So he was
Yep.
probably right to do what he did.
Yeah. I Roger's like, okay, they're going to ask me to kill Ulrich. Can I put that off? Can I get them in any way to put that off until after the war, or after we kill Orcus anyway? And the easiest solution is just don't tell them till we get home, and maybe Ulrich will die, and we don't have to worry about it at all.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
and now that they found out, or tell them right before we leave and let them figure out a solution
Right.
between when we leave and when we get back. um, and now the attempts to kill him while you're out there, um, that's a different problem,
Yes. Yes, it is.
but not an unexpected one. So
All right. So I believe your good and Sade walks you back to the army for a stint before he kind of separates with you, and you are left alone on the road as you're beginning to enter the army encampment once more. Um, I assume at this point you're going to be making your way to the Rildren uh, portion of the army, correct?
yeah, Roger is looking for Finn, but also he probably has some other friends from religion who got drafted.
For sure.
Yeah, and he'd be making his way down to find those people.
Got it. Okay. Um, Out of curiosity, does your family have a heraldry of any sort? That they,
Roger's family would be too poor for that.
yeah,
They're commoners. They're not nobles.
right. But they didn't have like a family crest or anything like that.
No, no.
I figured as much, but I just wanted to double check. I wanted to make sure I had my knowledge of your family right. so,
Yeah,
um,
no, way too poor for that.
so since it is kind of the middle of the night, early morning, most folks are sleeping. But, there are people keeping watch. And eventually you come upon um, a familiar face, one that you recognize as someone that you weren't necessarily close to, but is familiar to you, who is keeping watch. And um, as you, I assume you kind of approach him. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
As you approach, he kind of like his eyes kind of glaze over you, and then kind of refocus and widen in surprise. And he says, "Roger, uh, what are you doing here?"
Um, funny thing, I never left the army. and and Roger will kind of reach out to shake his hand.
Yeah, he takes it and he pulls you into a hug, which you probably stiffen into.
It's like, careful, friend. There are knives under there. Lots of them.
Yeah, he kind of
Go.
steps back a little bit and is like, "Got it."
Not
uh,
all of these are mine.
um, and he says, "Well, what are you doing here?"
uh, Officially, I'm still accompanying that young nobleman around, Ulrich Oakenhearth. Uh, and of course, we're all marching off to war somewhere.
Yeah.
Unofficially, I've been over the wall.
His eyes widen. He's like, "I hear that's where we're going."
It is. And it's a shame we're only going to get to see a part of it as we go over there.
Where, how much of it have you seen?
Not enough.
Hmm.
And in some senses, too much. And Roger kind of looks away. Uh, there are two great lands across, one to the north and one to the south. Um, Relic, the lands to the north, is full of giant, impossibly high mountains, huge forests, great beasts, uh, and a good many peoples, all more strange than the last. Uh, and they've called for aid, and they're the people we were marching out to fight alongside.
He's
And
he's like listening carefully, um, and nodding his head.
the lands to the south, Necrata, it's a thin strip of forest, a few days thick, walking north to south, stretches across the entire border with Relic. And then south of that, grassland, and then wasteland.
The other guy's gotta hear this though, and he's like, you'll recognize a few faces here, and then he slaps his head and he's like, "Your brother, we gotta go get your brother." And
Roger, Roger will follow him.
he starts kind of shaking tents to wake people up. Um, and he leads you to one tent, where you see a young elf meditating in his tent, and he opens his eyes as your friend gets close. Finnegan looks out, looks at him, like what, and then his eyes kind of scan out, and he sees you.
uh, and it's been years since Roger has seen Finn, right? Since before the war. So that's been, what, 3 or 4 years now?
Uh, yes. So the war was 3 years ago. You would have been in this mission prior to that. So probably 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Roger will be kind of like maybe shocked for a minute. I mean, Finn wouldn't have changed that much as an
No.
elf in 5 years, but
Um, but
he's still basically a kid
yeah.
from Roger's perspective.
So I'll kind of put this in the perspective for you then. So you've always seen Finn as your younger brother as a kid, and it's quite it's kind of like you're used to seeing him in the same types of clothing that he prefers to wear, and in this case, he's wearing, you know, armor. He looks ready for battle. His hair is pulled back. He's trim. You know, he's not the wild, the more wild kid that has gone about his life as he is. You know, as the kid that he's growing up to be. Um,
Right.
he looks older than you remember him because he's you know he's
He's
fitting the
dressed like a
he's
soldier.
dressed like
Yeah.
a soldier. So he's grown and looking in that way. It doesn't feel right to you. You know what I mean? Like it's not what
Yeah.
um, you don't like it. You kind of get a pit in your stomach.
Yeah. This is going to be the happy reunion, but also a deeply uncomfortable one for
Right.
Roger. Because
Particularly punctuated by the fact that you know where this army is going.
yeah, we're in the back of Roger's, or maybe really in the front of Roger's mind. He's going, oh, so Christ, you're a kid. You're gonna. I don't want to lead you with the rest of this army directly into the abyss, right?
Right.
Which is like the backup plan, but it's still on the fucking table. You know, I was ready to march. I was ready to walk into the abyss because I'm pretty sure I can get back out. But you, kid, you're just gonna die.
Right.
um, so Roger might be sort of stunned into silence for a second there, just by the real gravity of the what the war will be hitting him.
Yeah.
As you know, someone besides himself is going to be in the line of fire, right?
Right.
But they'll snap out of it and reach out, give Finn a hug on the ground where he's meditating.
Yeah. So he kind of is half getting up at this point because he spotted you and recognizes you after a second because you know you've also um, been through a lot and you've got the wear of travel of 3 months on you and um, you know you've got tons more knives on you than you did before. He hasn't seen you since before the war. Um,
Right. Yeah,
so
Roger also looks very different, I'm
yeah,
sure.
so like the realization of you basically both kind of study each other for a moment, and then as he's getting up to hug you and you bending down the hug, you kind of meet in the middle, right, and sink back down into an embrace.
uh, Finn, this is not how I was hoping we would meet again, but I'm glad to see you.
And I'm glad to see you.
I Before all this business of the past few months, I was headed home, and I got you something. Uh, from We stopped in Jewel on our way back. Uh, and I don't know. It seems silly now, but and Roger will procure the silver bracelet he's been holding on for the entire campaign. um, you know, it was your birthday while we were passing through there, and uh, I thought I'd pick this up for you.
He
So happy birthday, kid.
he he kind of so one thing that you remember about Finn is that he tends to not smile outright, but you can kind of see him smiling through his like solemn expression. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so you get kind of a nostalgic ping as you can kind of see him kind of glowing from within from while as he gingerly accepts the gift and studies the craftsmanship of it. Um, and he says, "But you're more of a gift than this trinket, brother."
Uh, well, that's true. There is only one of me. Of course, now with Jewel underwater, there is only one of those. And there is only one of you. How have you been? How are mom and dad? Our cousins?
Well, a few cousins are here. Uh, Mom and dad are fine. They're well. And in fact, they're very well because I'm here. The draft allowed us some uh, compensation.
Roger nods. He was in that position 5 years ago.
Yep. In fact, you've been assisting them as well
Yes.
continually as part of the agreement. But it's nice to hear that even more is headed their way. Um, he basically goes into detail that um, yeah, things are fairly decent in Reladrin. There was a few demon attacks and some unrest when the walls came down. People afraid, but the unrest was first, of course. People were afraid of what it might mean and what omens it could have brought. But the family kind of kept it together, at least personally, and focused on trying to take every advantage of providing needs to the community, and ultimately, when that unrest turned into some attacks and things like that, a few of your family, some cousins, and your brother decided to follow suit for the betterment of the family, but also because it seemed like it was needed. And you see that he's slipped the bracelet onto his wrist and he's wearing it.
Good. That'll keep him safe from vampires. uh, Roger's also going to give him one of his two healing potions.
Okay.
Um,
Um,
the and with kind of a I hope you don't need this, um, but I'd rather you have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
and one element that you kind of notice is you smell kind of a familiar smell. So one thing that you know about, or that you remember about Finnegan, is that he always seems to be growing things, right? He's always had a knack for plants. And you can smell basil, and you look into his tent, and there's several types of potted plants that are in his tent, including a pretty substantial basil plant that he's brought along with him. So it seems like your brother is still your brother. He's got the plants aplenty with him. As he's marching the war, he has potted plants with him.
I actually have a basil plant in my office here,
Mm-hmm.
so uh, it's good to see that your garden's doing great. Uh, did they let you bring that with you, or are you
I
sneaking it in?
I took what I thought would be practical. There's some aloe over here, and uh, I've definitely assisted in making our food taste a bit better.
Roger will kind of glance over at the rations in his pocket and nod. It's definitely something that Roger has missed over the past 5 years.
Mhm. It probably made your meal at the guild that much more pleasurable until Zippo ruined it with the spicy food.
Yes. Uh, little herbs, you know. But come gather round. I was just telling some of our friends from back home about what waits over on the other side of the wall.
Oh, so you've been there? I thought you were serving in the army.
Oh, I can do two things at once. Roger smiles.
All right, and I would say at this point, Roger kind of leads his brother, and then settles amongst fellow people that you've grown up with or fellow family members. You sit around the fire and you tell them some stories of your travels.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll tell them about the the clans of Relic encountering the Axe clan and how Ulrich and Zippo were captured and how fearsome fighters they are, and then of us traveling up and joining the Bronze clan, and Roger will show his new tattoos. um, and brag about the initiation trials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Mainly focusing on the relic side of things, right?
yeah, both because that's where Roger's saying that, as far as we know, that's where we're going,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and because it's a much more exciting story, right? This is the kind of thing that like everyone was hoping was on the other side of the wall.
Right. Yeah.
It's the impossible land with an ancient history and giant trees and beautiful vistas and everything. And there happens to be a lot of people living there who are really cool, and, and all of that is just like everything the soldiers want to know.
Right.
Is in Relic.
Yeah.
And then if anybody asks about, oh, and what about that shadowy place to the south?
You must never go there.
Yeah, then Roger will get very serious. Go, and the land to the south is called Necrata. There are elves that live there, but it is ruled over um, uh, by vampires, and the dead rule Necrata. And he'll say the same thing he said to everyone else who asked. We have a tenuous alliance with them, and we are very lucky to have even that. Yeah. Hopefully, you never have to go there.
And I would say you probably spend a good portion of the rest of the night there, correct?
Yeah. Definitely gonna leave myself my 4 hours so I can go trance. But
right. Yeah.
But we're gonna be.
You might have done that beforehand, before all this.
Yeah.
I would say you probably front loaded the night like usual.
Yeah, and then we'll be hanging out with friends and drinking and exchanging stories about the war and other things all the way until morning, and we have to go and return to our actual duties.
Return to reality, yeah. They tell you about a demon that attacked Rilladrin that the townsfolk took out. That was made entirely of snakes, and they would form up into kind of a amalgam of a creature. And the only way that they were able to kill it is by killing every single snake in the area.
Oh wow. That's good to know.
And they hope that they got it all. There's not one piece hiding somewhere. So like Rilladrin is basically anti-snake now. But otherwise, they kind of want to hear more stories from you and let you front load it because it's the more interesting. Your journey is it pales anything that they could provide in comparison. But I assume you kind of press for details about home and discuss the rudimentary things and savor the simple as the night progresses.
And a lot of that is probably, hey, I mean, obviously Roger knows all his family survived the war, right?
Yes.
But it'll be asking a lot of everyone else. It's been 5 years. Is everyone okay?
Right.
And
Yeah,
how did?
there's a few people that got married. Some folks have started ventures of their own, or did made an upgrade to the house, or whatever the case might be. But
Yeah.
yeah, nothing like huge, like monumental. Everything's fairly okay, or as you left it, just in a better or the same, not worse. And that gives you some comfort.
That's good. Um, and Roger will talk about the party and all the adventures they've gone on. And and say, where we're going to the the clans of Relic have called for aid, and we're going to fight alongside them. Um, the they're fearsome warriors, but so are we, right? Um,
And they kind of give a rallying cry of support for that statement.
yeah, Seregen's been fighting wars with itself for hundreds of years, thousands maybe. We've got practice.
And they chuckle at this. Your brother is quite happy to kind of be sitting next to you and listening. And he makes you a bracelet out of some vines from one of his plants that he kind of weaves into each other, and gives to you as kind of a return memento.
And Roger will put that on the same arm with the other things he has, the other mementos of
Mm-hmm.
his oaths.
Mm-hmm. You notice that the vine, the kind of the imprint of the vine work, is no longer present on your arm. You don't know when it left, but it's not there anymore.
Hmm. I wonder if that's oath has been fulfilled now.
Which is interesting to you because you didn't feel like some magical effect like you did when the oath was created, that told you that, hey, it's done. It's just kind of gone.
Yeah, because we know that the vampires get a sense of like an immediate the a contract has ended.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they get a notification from their spidey sense,
Yeah.
right? Uh, uh, it's interesting that this one doesn't work that way. I wonder if something happened to Reynard, or if because Cordelia hinted that these sorts of oaths could dissolve if people died. Um, or if we just fulfilled the conditions of it.
Yeah, you're not sure.
That'd be something to find out, I suppose, with whatever sendings we have left.
You've got one left, I believe.
We've
And
got one
Ulrich
scroll
has
left,
it.
but we have
Yeah. Oh, then you have
no.
Jordan.
Yeah, well, so
Because you gave
Roger
Ulrich, you had 3. You kept
gave
1,
Ulrich 2,
and you gave Ulrich 2. Ulrich's only used 1, so he has 1 left.
and Roger still has the one that he was holding on to because we made Jordan call Rift.
Right. Okay, got it. And
Yeah.
actually, we don't know if Ulrich at this point or you have used those sending scrolls since we're kind of in the middle of time right now. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Those are
In
like
any
if we have
case,
to.
right? Yeah. And I assume at this point you're likely going to keep that last scroll for your mission,
That's well,
unless you need to use it. Yeah.
we're keeping it until I need to use it.
Right.
If we make it back, and Roger needs to let them know that Ulrich is still alive,
Right.
then he will use it then. If the scroll still exists, right?
Yeah.
But we may find ourselves in a position where Jordan's out of spell slots, or we're separated and we need
Correct.
to contact someone. Roger's using it as soon as he has to,
Yeah.
but not until then.
All right. As we're winding out the night and the session, I would say, because I think we're at a good natural stopping point. Is there anything else you want to do with your brother?
I mean, aside from telling him to stay safe, and if he finds a way to keep out of combat, to do so.
Are you going to tell him about your desire to have his group stay, or?
I'm not going to frame it like it's going to be Roger's fault.
Okay.
But
I just wanted to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, it basically, before Roger goes back to his tent, he's gonna pull Finn aside and be like, I know I've been where you are, right? I know what this looks like. And I know you've seen some fighting already. But if they let you go home, right? If they give you an out, take it. Uh,
What about
we both,
what about you?
if I could, I would, right?
Right.
I but I've sworn oaths to more than just Seregen.
You're really in this shit, aren't you?
And I mean, I wasn't lying when I said that we are all initiated into the Bronze Clan, and we owe them just as much loyalty as we owe Seregen. What I didn't tell you with the rest of them is we also signed a contract with the Vampire Queen. That's how we got their alliance. And if we break that, they will be our enemies. I have to go. I wish it were any other way.
As do I.
But if you find a way out of here, if they let you go home. This Seregen doesn't need you or any of our friends to die 2,000 miles away from home. And if I could avoid it, I would. Now, I intend to come home I'll tell you the same thing I did when I marched off 5 years ago. If I don't, take care of Mom and Dad for me.
And I'll tell you what I said 5 years ago. Take care of him yourself. And he smirks.
And yeah, Roger's just gonna hug him. uh, well, you never know. With all these vampires, maybe, maybe death won't be the end.
He just shakes his head, ever the optimist.
uh, it's terrible when my optimism is all we've got going for us.
Just remind me not to ever let you be a leader. It is the worst motivational speech I've ever heard. I will do my best, but I have also sworn oaths, and wherever this army goes is where I go. So we will do our best to stay alive, and I will go where my group goes.
I understand. You've got to make your own way.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Well, at least I know we'll be fighting together again.
Of course. And nobody to complain when we pull out the real knives. Take care of yourself, Finn.
You too, Raj.
And we'll give Finn one last hug and nod, and Roger will head back to the group, as it's almost certainly sunrise at this point.
Yeah, I would say it's at least fairly close. And that is where we will end session for tonight, folks. So thank you for joining us. Amethyst, thank you for the one shot. I know we haven't had too many together, but I personally thought it was really great. So
Yeah.
Hope you had fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And behind the curtain, folks, a little bit, Roger Amethyst was saying, well, there's one thing I've always wanted to do this whole campaign, but I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do it, and that's give my trinket, this bracelet, to my brother that I've been trying to do since the beginning of the campaign. Meanwhile, I'm like, can't say nothing, can't say anything, because that was the plan for this session. So it's good to see that come to fruition, and it was good to see that that was something that you wanted, because I was like, yes, this is perfect. So
it has been written on my character sheet for 3.5 years.
So I'm glad to finally have allowed that, given that opportunity to you. So for better or worse, hopefully Finn's fate will be a good one. But I guess we'll find out in the oncoming session.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone out there, and we'll see you again real soon. Have a great one. Be safe, be well, be excellent, and have a great one.